Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and today we have, I think, one of the most important episodes that we've done all year long. We started these Oscar predictions all the way back in January. We're now in the middle of December. Globes have come out. CCA has come out. We're in the thick of things, and now it's time to give our updated Best Picture nominations. We've seen with the industry, thanks for the most part. Now it's time for how do we interpret all of that. Before we dive in though, as always, if you are new here, consider dropping a subscription. We have Oscar content come out nearly daily here on the channel, as well as joining the Discord link down below where you can talk with us and hundreds of other Oscar lovers on the internet, and just, a fun environment. We have games, we have all this sort of stuff going on there. But let's not waste any time. What has happened since our last update? Globes, CCA, critics bodies, there's so much going on. Matt, anything you want to add before we dive in here?
Oh, well, let's just talk about what is in, what is out of the Best Picture race at this point. So, the obvious contenders, we're getting Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Barbie, and Poor Things across the board. They are everywhere. What has been missing in certain places? Well, interestingly, we had The Color Purple miss Best Comedy Musical at the Golden Globes. That is
sad.
Very bad. That said, it did make it into the Critics' Choice for Best Picture, which is a bit of a boost. Saltburn also made it into Critics' Choice, which was a big surprise. Now, some other things that just have not shown up so far. All of Us Strangers hasn't shown up anywhere. We were missing The Iron Claw. We were missing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So those movies are really on a downward spiral if they've ever been possible at all. But some things that have been boosted lately: Air was definitely given a big boost. May December was given a big boost. And most importantly, Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest were given big boosts by the Golden Globes.
Yeah, let's dive into these. If you're watching here on YouTube, you just saw me. I was very much in a zone. I was doing some last minute, little fixes to my overall lineup because Matt made a great point about CCA. I wanted to reflect something based off of those CCA nominations. So obviously we have some locks here in the category: Oppenheimer, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, Maestro. These movies 100% in. Then American Fiction, The Holdovers, they're like 99.9% in. Small chance maybe, but I'm pretty confident these things are in Best Picture. So 7 out of our 10 are locked. Then if we were in a year of non-10, maybe that's our lineup. But I think we would at least get one more movie, and I think that next movie would be one of the international films. Would it be Anatomy? Would it be Zone? I'm feeling more love for Anatomy so far. It's hitting into more categories, especially above the line. Director, some places, screenplay almost everywhere, picture as well, actress, not to mention that. So it's looking good. Zone, on the other hand, started off a little bit slow, but it's warming up. I still feel very great about a director nomination, and I'm of the firm belief in a year of 10, if you're in director, you're in Best Picture. So those are both in my top 10, but Zone is at number 10. Currently at this moment, I do have Past Lives as my number 9. It has hit everything, and sometimes there is a movie that just hits everything that misses. Past Lives' biggest knock against it is it just has nothing else really outside of screenplay. I don't buy Greta Lee for the Oscars. I think that she will continue to hit some of these major precursors, but I just don't see her cracking that Oscar lineup, because you have to consider there are major players who are still in the race. Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan are 4 of our 5 slots. Then you have people like Margot Robbie and Barbie, which can be very strong. The surging Natalie Portman in May December. Color Purple, Fantasia's Barrino is still here. Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla, the Volpe Cup winner. That stat is so strong. And I just think that Greta Lee is behind all of those people. So to me, currently Past Lives is just screenplay. And I've been saying all year long, can you just get into Best Picture on just a screenplay nomination? Not a screenplay win.
Women Talking.
Like Women Talking. But Women Talking won. Can Past Lives get in without winning the category?
But that said, it won after it got nominated. So it's not like they were voting for it as... It was the front runner, but that's like... People were still doing mental gymnastics to be like, it's not the front runner. I'm not saying Past Lives is the front runner, because it's not. But it's more of... Yeah, I don't think people during the nominations are thinking, well, I have to nominate this in Best Picture because it's winning screenplay. They're not thinking of it that way.
But to me, if I'm filling out a ballot and I look at my best picture and I'm like, wait, why do I have, like for last year, our personal awards, why do I have Bullet Train in picture? Yeah, it's my 10th favorite movie of the year, but I have it getting no other nominations. I'm going to take that out, put it in something that has more love across the board.
But that's not how Oscar voters pick, right? Because they're all voting for their individual categories. So they'll vote their individual category and then they'll vote Best Picture. It's not like someone's doing all 20 categories and then going, wait a second, I only have Past Lives getting 2 nominations. That doesn't make sense. Instead, what you're going to get is the writers saying, yeah, we love Past Lives. Let's put Past Lives there. You'll get the actors putting it in and saying, I don't have space for Greta Lee, but I'd love to give that movie some love. Let's put it in picture. You'll have the costume designers, the production designers saying, it's not that kind of movie, but I loved it. Let's put it in. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, it's not a huge knock against it, but it is definitely enough of a knock that, despite it making every single place so far, it is a little bit of a lower tier nominee just because what can it get nominated for?
Yeah.
Again,
I do have it in my lineup, though. It is my number 9, but it's something that I could easily see myself taking out, especially if my number 11, which has had a drastic drop in the last 7 days, being The Color Purple. I think the last time we recorded one of these predictions videos, I had it all the way up at number 5, and now it's down to number 11. It missed Globe Comedy Musical. You couldn't make it into that category. How can I expect you to make it into a Best Picture lineup? I just don't know. It missed for Air, of all things. So, to me, what I would need to see for Color Purple to believe in, and again, yeah, I got CCA, but CCA is a predicting body. It's not a precursor. I would need to see get SAG Ensemble. I need to get MBR, and I need to see some life at BAFTA. I'm not expecting a BAFTA picture nomination, but I'm expecting Fantasia to maybe be a jury save, predicting some tech nominations, and it to look very well on this Oscar shortlist that is coming out here very shortly. Love to move that in, but with the emergence of Past Lives and Anatomy of a Fall, I just don't have space for it at this moment. Number 12 is a movie I believed in all year. It's just, I kind of need that acting-heavy movie that just misses picture, and May December fills that role perfectly. I've made a comparison to The Lost Daughter before. May December could be the same exact thing. Screenplay and 2 acting nominations. Instead of it being lead and supporting, I have it being double supporting at this moment. Netflix is the movie. If anyone could get this thing into Best Picture, it would be Netflix, but with Past Lives looking stronger, Anatomy looking good at these major bodies so far, and my belief of directing and picture overlap with Zone, I just don't have room for it at this moment. But if it hits SAG in a big way, all 3 actors plus ensemble, then yeah, maybe I need to move it in. After this point, here's where stuff kind of gets a little bit confusing because I think our nominations are in this top 12. I know we famously said this last year, and All Quiet on the Western Front came out of nowhere, but at this moment, we don't have that nomination of long list, of short list.
I will say also, we probably had Triangle of Sadness at number 17 at this point.
Maybe we did. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure there's a video out there that someone can go back to and clip
I
it.
did not buy Triangle of Sadness at this time last year, so it's possible that something that's floating a little bit lower right now, not only was All Quiet not on the horizon, but Triangle of Sadness, for me, I was denying it all the way until nomination morning.
I was of the belief that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse would have a very good CCA prediction when I made this lineup, but it looked really bad today, so probably it should not be at number 13, but it has hit a lot of those other places. It made the Globe, it had NBR, had AFI. Those are very good, strong precursors, but probably not going to be able to make it into the Best Picture lineup here. Air is another movie where it's just coasting along. It's not overperforming. It's not really underperforming. It's just here. I don't really buy All of Us Strangers. I never really have. Its performance here at some of these bigger bodies kind of prove that, where maybe it can slide in for 1 nomination, maybe 2, but it's not hitting those picture categories. Speaking of those long lists, though, here's where I could see some movies slide in. We have Society of the Snow from Netflix. Is this another All Quiet on the Western Front? I doubt it, but can't knock it until we get those long lists. Could see this doing very well at BAFTA. Could see this being a craft player, because we always get one of those craft players that's 3 or 4 nominations that just misses picture. This could easily fill that role. Then, just based off of the reaction this previous weekend, The Boy and the Heron had a huge resurgence in my list. It was off of my top 25, but it's hit some major precursors in their top 10 of the year, as well as just having a lot of love. Is it picture love? I don't think so, but like I said, after you hit that 12 range, this order is just other movies that I think will get Oscar nominations. It's just how strong are they in the picture race. Priscilla, Saltburn, maybe, but I think their kind of cases are dead. Origin, Rust, and Naiad. I think all these movies could get number 1 votes, but I think no one else has put them on their list. It's not going to get any 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. Handful of people like, yes, Origin, I love it. Rustin, I love it. Naiad, I love it. But not enough to make a lineup of 10. Ferrari, Perfect Days, and of course, hoorah, Sound of Freedom here to round the list. Sound of Freedom is just here for memes and missed out Golden Globe Box Office Achievement Award, which is the award it should have got. So obviously that's not a real thing, but like I did last year, I probably should update this lower part of the list, but there's not really much to do because contenders are kind of dry at this point.
I will say you probably should have the Iron Claw very low on the list.
To me, not making Globe was death sentence.
Yes, but you could argue the same thing about Priscilla or Origin or Rustin or Naiad.
I mean, I can agree for Origin, but Priscilla at least has an actress in the race for an above-the-line nomination. Naiad does as well. Rustin does as well. Ferrari could be a tech contender. Perfect Days as a strong international push. Origin, though, I do agree. Maybe it's on the same level as that. But my case for Iron Claw is it's not making actor. It's not making screenplay. It's not going to get any tech nominations. So what is it going to be? Just picture?
So I want to go up back to the top of your list and say I am finally breaking. I'm putting Oppenheimer at my number 1. Unfortunately, I don't want this to win Best Picture. I really don't want this to win Best Picture. And I still believe that something's going to happen and it won't win Best Picture in the end. I strongly believe Oppenheimer will not
Doubt
win.
all you want.
That said, I am moving American Fiction out of my top slot, but I'm keeping it in my top 3. You've got it down at your number 6, and the reason I am keeping it in my top 3 is because I still think it's one of the only things that is win competitive against Oppenheimer. If anything can take down Oppenheimer, it still is American Fiction, and yes, it didn't perform as well as we wanted at the Golden Globes, but I'm not going to lose hope that it could perform well at the Golden Globes until after the ceremony, because it's possible that it becomes a surprise winner in the Best Comedy or Musical category. Even without director, even without screenplay, it could still come out of nowhere and be like, wow, hey, that was the winner. And if that happens, then it's back in the hunt and I'll put it back at my number 1. Until then, I'm doing what I said, which is if it doesn't get director, if it doesn't get screenplay, if it doesn't perform exceptionally well at the Globes, then I am dropping American Fiction down my lineup. But yes, it's still the only thing I can see toppling Oppenheimer.
My case for having it down at number 6 is just if this was a year 5, I think our 5 are the 5 movies above it. Oppenheimer, Barbie, Killers, Poor Things, Maestro. Maestro,
I think it would be above Maestro.
I don't know. Maestro just seems like it could slide into a lot of those tech categories as that number 5 slot. There's editing, there's sound, there's a cinematography nomination that's assuring for makeup design, actor, not screenplay, actor, supporting actress, maybe even director. There's a lot coming in here for it where it's going to have all these nominations where it'd just be a weird thing to miss. Obviously, if it doesn't hit all those things, then it's not getting in. But it's how I feel about Elvis last year where it's just getting all these nominations where if we were in like a year 5, it would be in that 5.
Well, I guess my argument is that normally in those years of 5, there's always 1 or 2 movies that you're like, why is something else is getting more nominations than that? Why is that there? Like, I would think of Maestro as like a Dreamgirls type pick, where Dreamgirls got 8 nominations in 2006 and missed Best Picture. So I would instead put something like The Holdovers or American Fiction in the top 5.
That's very fair. And to talk about the winning, I kind of skipped over that. Oppenheimer is my number 1. I think the hype is still real. It's alive. It's breathing. It's magnetizing through everyone. We just saw the 4K Blu-ray release. No one could get their hands on it. That's general public members. Obviously, those aren't Oscar voters, but no one could get a copy of it. It just shows this movie is so strong with people this much longer. It just came out on digital. Twitter, TikTok is filled of clips from the movie. It's just breathing life the same way that Everything Everywhere did last year. I still think there's a world where Oppenheimer clean sweeps the big shows. It wins Golden Globe. It wins BAFTA. It wins PGA, DGA. Could even win SAG Ensemble. Am I predicting that? No, but I still think it's number 1 or number 2 in all of those award shows.
If that's the case, and if this season just goes Oppenheimer for everything the entire way, this is going to be the most boring awards season ever, and there's no point in even having a show. Like, there's no point in us talking about it if it's just Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer. Like, it's just boring.
I mean, that's how I felt about the Nomadland year. It won every prize. It won every directing prize. But sometimes you just have that. And I mean, outside of maybe like 2 award shows last year, it was kind of like that for Everything Everywhere. Besides BAFTA and Golden Globe, it basically won everything else.
But there was the feeling constantly that everyone's like, it's not happening. It's not happening. And that's why Everything Everywhere sweeping was still rewarding, because people kept saying, there's no way this happens. There's no way this happens. But the opposite is true for Oppenheimer, where ever since it premiered, all year long, people have been like, it's undeniable, this is going to win everything. And that's what's boring. You know, the fact that everyone is talking about it as though it's just a complete certainty. And that's also why I think it's not going to happen.
I just think Oppenheimer's has that love. It has that support. You mentioned Power of the Dog. Power of the Dog did not have that love from general people. Oppenheimer does. And I think right now, you're talking about voting fatigue. Killers is winning the awards now. Oppenheimer hasn't started, but Oppenheimer, once
Critics'
we hit the industry, once we hit industry, Oppenheimer is just going to clean it up along the way.
Yeah, but critics' prizes don't really count.
I know they don't count, but it just shows like, hey, it's not winning everything, because Power of the Dog won everything, including critics' prizes, until we got to SAG.
I guess what I feel is, if along the way Oppenheimer wins everything and it loses one thing, then I'll be a little bit more convinced. Like, I would want to see Oppenheimer lose the BAFTA if it were to win Best Picture, and it's not going to lose the BAFTA.
I mean, it's possible. I could see Killers or Poor Things upsetting at BAFTA. I could see Barbie or Color Purple possibly even winning at SAG. PGA could be Barbie as well. There's spots where it's maybe not the clear number one, but I do believe it's number one or number two at every major precursor, which we'll just have to see, does it actually win every major precursor. But this was a little bit of a shorter Best Picture Roundup episode. We just want to get one out after CCA, after Globes, and a lot of these other pundits that have put stuff out so far. So let us know down below what are your thoughts on the Oscar race, and definitely subscribe, because we are having director and screenplay come out in the next few days. But until then, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.